If I told you about two 8-year-old girls who managed to defeat 17 professional nannies in just 6 months, these twins were so impossible to handle that they were banned from all childcare agencies in the city, until a woman appeared and said the words no one had ever said to them. This is the most moving true story you'll hear today. A story about two girls who lost everything and the nanny who discovered the secret behind all that terror. Before we start, tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button, because stories like this touch the heart. But I have to warn you, prepare your tissues, because what you're about to discover about Isabella, Olivia, and Lucy will make you rethink everything about family, love, and second chances. It all began in a mansion where no nanny could last even a week. The Johnson family's mansion in the upscale neighborhood was known for two things: its owner's absurd wealth and the fact that no nanny could work there for more than a week. In 6 months, 17 professionals had passed through the property's gates, and all left with the same expression of trauma and relief. "I can't do this anymore, Mr. Johnson," said Maria, the 17th victim, carrying her suitcase on Monday morning. "Your daughters are impossible. I've never seen such diabolical children." Richard Johnson, 38, sighed heavily as he signed the severance check. The tech entrepreneur had built a billion-dollar empire, but was being defeated by two 8-year-old girls. "Maria, please reconsider. I'll double your salary, triple it if necessary." "Sir, it's not about money. It's about my sanity. Your daughters. They sabotaged my car on Friday, put raw eggs in my shoe, sugar in my gas tank, and made a voodoo doll with my picture. They're 8 years old." The twins, Isabella and Olivia, appeared at the top of the marble staircase, observing the scene with angelic smiles that didn't match their actions at all. Blonde with blue eyes, they were the picture of childhood perfection when they weren't destroying adults' lives. "Bye, Maria," Isabella said, waving delicately. "We'll miss you," Olivia added, with a tone that made it clear it was a lie. Maria shivered and hurried away, muttering something about finding an exorcist on the way. Richard turned to his daughters. "Girls, we need to talk." "About what, Daddy?" they asked in unison, their voices sweet as honey. "You know exactly what. 17 nannies, girls. 17. But, Daddy," Isabella said, descending the stairs with a princess-like elegance. "They were all very boring and incompetent," Olivia added. "None of them understood us." Richard ran a hand through his prematurely grey hair. Since his wife Helen had died in a car accident 2 years prior, the girls had become progressively more difficult. He knew it was trauma, knew they were processing their mother's loss destructively, but he didn't know how to handle the situation. "Girls, you can't go on like this. I need to work. You need supervision." "And we don't need a nanny," Isabella interrupted. "We're too smart for 8-year-olds and very mature," Olivia agreed. Richard sighed. The girls weren't wrong. They were exceptionally intelligent, with IQs tested above 140 each. They spoke 3 languages fluently, played piano like prodigies, and had learned to read at 4 years old. But intelligence without emotional guidance had become a recipe for chaos. "Listen," he said, kneeling to their height. "I know you miss Mommy. I do too, but terrorizing nannies won't bring her back." The girls' eyes filled with tears that they quickly hid. "We don't talk about Mommy," Isabella said coldly. "Never," Olivia agreed. And that was the root of the problem. The girls completely refused to talk about Helen, to process their grief, or to accept any psychological help. Instead, they channeled their pain into increasingly elaborate acts of rebellion. That afternoon, Richard was in his office when his assistant Clara appeared with a worried expression. "Mr. Johnson, I have bad news. The elite nanny agency refuses to send any more professionals. They said your daughters were blacklisted for extreme behavior." "What? They can't do that." "They can, sir. And they did. Apparently, the story of your daughters is already circulating among all the nanny agencies in the city. No one wants to take the job." Richard sank heavily into his leather armchair. As CEO of one of the largest tech companies in the country, he was used to solving complex problems with logic and strategy. But two 8-year-old girls had created a problem that seemed to have no solution. Now what, Clara? I can't leave them alone, and I can't stay home all the time. Well, sir, there's one last option. What is it? My cousin works at a smaller agency, more, let's say, specialized in difficult cases. She said she knows a woman who might be interested, but I should warn you, she's different from the others. Different? How? She doesn't have a college degree in pedagogy or psychology. In fact, she didn't even finish high school, but she has an interesting reputation. What kind of reputation? They say she can handle any child, no matter how problematic. She's worked with children of diplomats, artists, business owners, cases other nannies considered impossible. Richard was desperate enough to consider any option. What's her name? Lucy Stone. But sir, I must warn you, she's very direct. She's not a type to tolerate disrespect or insolence, and she has some very specific demands. What kind of demands? She only accepts jobs where she has total authority over the children during her shift. Parents cannot interfere with her methods as long as they are not abusive, and she always demands to know the family's entire history before accepting the job. Richard thought for a moment. His options were to hire Lucy Stone or cancel all his professional commitments indefinitely. Schedule an interview with her. I already have, sir. She's coming tomorrow at 2 p.m. That night, during dinner, Richard tried to prepare the girls for the new nanny's arrival. Girls, tomorrow you're going to meet a new person who might take care of you. Isabella and Olivia exchanged conspiratorial glances. What kind of person, Daddy? Isabella asked with feigned innocence. A very experienced nanny, and girls, this time I want you to be polite and respectful. Of course, Daddy, Olivia said, smiling sweetly. We'll be angels. Perfect angels, Isabella agreed. Richard knew that angelic tone was a bad sign. It usually preceded their worst acts of sabotage. That night, the girls gathered in Isabella's room to plan what they called Operation Bye-Bye Nanny. What do we do this time? Olivia asked, sitting on the floor with the notebook where all their previous successes were listed. Remember Maria? What worked best? The voodoo was pretty creative, but I think it was the sugar in the car that really broke her. This time we need to be more impactful, Isabella said, her blue eyes shining with malice. Faster. We don't want her to last even a day. How about we put toy cockroaches in her bag? Too childish. We need something psychological. The girls were masters of psychological warfare. They had discovered that nannies were more vulnerable to situations that questioned their sanity than to simple physical pranks. Therefore, their methods had evolved to include moving objects when no one was looking, whispering unsettling things in nanny's ears at night, creating evidence of paranormal activity, pretending one of them was invisible to the nanny, and performing magic tricks that seemed supernatural. I have an idea, Isabella said, picking up an old doll that had belonged to their mother. What if we make her believe the house is haunted? Like we make Mommy's doll appear in strange places, make noises at night. We whisper her name when she's almost asleep. Genius. And if she asks about the doll, we pretend we don't know anything. Exactly. We'll say the doll has been moving on its own since Mommy, since the accident. It was the first time in weeks they had mentioned their mother, even indirectly. For a moment the room was silent. Do you think it will work? Olivia asked, her voice less confident. It has to work, Isabella said, hugging the doll. We don't need a nanny. We have each other forever. Olivia agreed. But what the girls didn't know was that Lucy Stone was no ordinary nanny. At 45, she had raised 5 children of her own as a single mother, cared for 3 orphaned nephews, and worked with dozens of children considered problematic over 20 years. More importantly, Lucy had lost her own mother at the age of 8 and knew exactly what 2 grieving girls were capable of. The war was about to begin, but this time the Johnson twins had met their match. Lucy Stone arrived at the Johnson mansion promptly at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, driving an older model blue compact car that contrasted dramatically with the imported cars parked in the garage. She was not intimidated by the opulence of the place. At 45, Lucy was a woman of average height, with brown hair pulled back in a simple bun and eyes that seemed to see through people. She wore jeans, a white shirt, and comfortable sneakers, nothing that suggested she was trying to impress anyone. "Mr. Johnson," she said when Richard opened the door, "I'm Lucy Stone. Come. In, please. Thank you for coming." As they walked through the house, Lucy observed everything with a clinical eye. She noticed the scratches on the staircase wall, the paint stains on the Persian rug, the broken vases poorly disguised with different plants. "They're creative," she commented, pointing to a crayon mark on the wall that someone had tried to clean. "The girls, yes, very creative," Richard admitted, embarrassed. "I wasn't being sarcastic, Mr. Johnson. Creativity is intelligence. Having fun. The problem is when that fun turns into destruction." They sat in the main living room, where Richard had prepared coffee and cookies. Lucy accepted only water. "Tell me about your daughters," she said directly. "The whole truth, not the edited version." Richard hesitated. "Well, they're very intelligent." "Mr. Johnson," Lucy gently interrupted him, "I was told that 17 nannies left here in 6 months. That doesn't happen because children are too intelligent. It happens because children are hurting. So I'll ask again, tell me about your daughters." The sincerity in Lucy's tone broke down Richard's defenses. He told her everything. Helen's death, the girl's refusal to go to therapy, the increasingly elaborate acts of sabotage, the emotional isolation. "They don't talk about their mother," he concluded. "It's as if Helen never existed." "And do you talk about her?" It's difficult, I imagine. But children learn more from what they see than from what they hear. If the father doesn't process his grief, how can he expect his daughters to?" The observation hit Richard like a punch to the gut. "The girls want to meet me?" Lucy asked. "They're in their room, probably planning how to get rid of you in the first week." "First week?" Lucy smiled for the first time. How optimistic. They went up to the second floor, where the girls' rooms were connected by an inner door. Richard knocked on Isabella's door. "Girls, come meet Lucy." The twins appeared wearing identical light pink dresses, perfectly combed hair, and smiles that would make any margarine commercial envious. Lucy was not fooled for a second. "Hello," Isabella said sweetly. "I'm Isabella." "And I'm Olivia," her sister completed. "It's a pleasure to meet you." "Hi," Lucy said simply, observing the two carefully. "Which one of you is the leader?" The question caught the girls off guard. They exchanged quick glances. "We don't understand," Isabella said, maintaining her angelic smile. "Of course you do. Twins always have power dynamics. Even when they're close, one always makes the bigger decisions. So, which one is it?" "We decide everything together," Olivia insisted. "Interesting." Lucy acted as if she believed them, but her next words showed she didn't believe them at all. "Isabella, you've always been the one who had the most creative ideas to get rid of nannies." Isabella's smile wavered for a fraction of a second. "I don't know what you're talking about." "That's fine. You can keep up the game for now." Lucy turned to Richard. "Mr. Johnson, I need to speak with you privately." They went down to the office, leaving the girls visibly disturbed on the second floor. "So?" Richard asked anxiously. "What do you think?" "They are extremely intelligent children, desperately trying to maintain control over a world that crumbled when they lost their mother. The acts of sabotage are not malice. They are attempts to protect their emotional territory." "Does that mean you'll take the job?" "I have some conditions." "What are they?" "First, total authority over the girls during my shift. You don't interfere with my methods, as long as I don't physically or emotionally harm them." "Accepted." "Second, I need full access to the house, including your wife's room." Richard turned pale. "Helen's room has been sealed since the accident." "Exactly. That's part of the problem. I can't go in there. I'm not asking you to go in. I'm saying I need to go in. The girls are dealing with the ghost of an idealized mother because they cannot process the reality of the loss. As long as that room is an untouchable sanctuary, they will never be able to move forward. Lucy, I don't know if... Mr. Johnson, do you want me to help your daughters or not? After a long pause, Richard nodded. Third condition, the girls will go to therapy. I know an excellent child psychologist who works specifically with grief. It's non-negotiable. They refuse to go to therapy. They are 8-year-old children. They don't have the right to refuse. You are the father and you need to act like one. And the fourth condition, you also go to therapy. A grieving father cannot help grieving daughters. Richard opened his mouth to protest, but Lucy raised her hand. It's not a suggestion, Mr. Johnson. It's a condition. Accept it or find another nanny. But the agency said, I said another nanny, not another agency. There's always someone willing to work with problematic children for enough money. The question is, do you want someone who just survives the job or someone who will truly help your daughters? Richard thought about the 17 previous nannies, the girls' growing despair, the loneliness that consumed the entire family. I accept all conditions. When can you start? Tomorrow at 7 a.m. and Mr. Johnson, prepare the girls. Tell them exactly this. Lucy is not like the other nannies. She won't leave in the first week or the first month or when you try to scare her. She came to stay until you don't need her anymore. Period. They'll probably hate that, but they'll also be curious, and curiosity is the first step towards acceptance. That night, Richard had the most difficult conversation he'd had with his daughters since Helen's death. Girls, we need to talk about Lucy. We already have plans for her, Daddy, Isabella said confidently. She'll be gone by Friday. Actually, she won't. Lucy is not like the other nannies. She won't leave in the first week or the first month or when you try to scare her. She came to stay until you don't need her anymore. The girls were silent for a moment, processing the information. Impossible, Olivia said. Finally, no one can stand us. Lucy can. And girls, you're going to therapy. No, they shouted in unison. It's not optional. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. with Dr. Christine. We're not going. Yes, you are. And do you know why? Because I'm also going to therapy every Monday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. This caught the girls completely off guard. They had never considered that their father might also be suffering. Why are you going to therapy? Isabella asked, her voice less defiant. Because I miss Mommy every day and I don't know how to deal with it. And because you deserve a father who knows how to better handle his emotions. The girls were silent. It was the first time in 2 years that Richard openly admitted he was also suffering. Did Lucy say that? Olivia asked. She said that families heal together, not separately. That night, the girls didn't plan any sabotage. Instead, they stayed up talking about the strange feeling of having an adult who seemed to understand exactly what was happening, even when they themselves didn't. Do you think she really won't leave? Olivia asked. Everyone leaves, Isabella replied. But for the first time in months, she didn't sound completely convinced. Downstairs, Richard was on the phone with Lucy. Are you sure you know what you're getting into? He asked. Mr. Johnson, I've cared for twins who set their own room on fire, a boy who only spoke through a puppet for 8 months, and a girl who pretended to be mute for an entire year because her mother said she talked too much. Your daughters are intelligent and creative, but they are not impossible. They are just 2 8-year-old girls who lost their mother and are trying not to lose anyone else. How can you be so sure? Because I was also an 8-year-old girl who lost her mother, and I know exactly how that can destroy a person or strengthen them. The next morning, at 7 a.m. sharp, Lucy rang the doorbell of the Johnson mansion. This time she was dressed more practically. Sweatpants, a comfortable t-shirt, and running shoes. Ready for war? Richard asked, opening the door. I didn't come for war, Mr. Johnson. I came for peace. But when Isabella and Olivia came down for breakfast, their defiant looks made it clear that they definitely had war plans. The battle for the souls of the Johnson twins was about to begin. The first war began during breakfast. The twins had prepared an elaborate trap. The sugar bowl was full of salt. The milk had a few drops of vinegar, and they had put plastic wrap under the jam jar lid. Lucy sat at the table as if nothing had happened, picked up a slice of bread and buttered it directly, completely ignoring the sabotage jam. "Aren't you going to sweeten your coffee?" Isabella asked innocently. "I don't take sugar," Lucy replied, drinking black coffee. "And the milk?" "I don't use it either." The girls exchanged frustrated glances. Their first trap had completely failed by accident. "Do you girls drink milk?" Lucy asked casually. "Of course," Olivia said, pouring herself a glass before Isabella could stop her. The moment she tasted the sour milk, Olivia made a face of disgust and spat it out. The milk is spoiled." "Strange," Lucy said, picking up the carton and sniffing it. "This carton was opened yesterday. Milk doesn't spoil that fast unless someone puts something in it." She looked directly at Isabella. "Vinegar, perhaps." Isabella blushed but maintained an innocent expression. "We don't know anything about that." "Of course not," Lucy said, standing up. "Olivia, come with me. Let's brush your teeth to get rid of the vinegar taste." As they went upstairs, Lucy casually commented, "You know, when I was 8, I also put vinegar in milk once. It was meant for my older sister, but I ended up drinking it myself." "Why did you do that?" Olivia asked, genuinely curious. "Because I was angry with her. She had gotten a new doll for my birthday and I thought it was unfair." "And did it work?" "No, it just made me sick and got me lectured. I learned that revenge usually hurts the planner more than the target." Olivia was silent, processing the subtle lesson. When they came down, Isabella was impatient, waiting for the outcome of the first battle. "Now what?" she asked her sister when they were alone. "She knew it was vinegar," Olivia whispered, "and she didn't get mad. Impossible, everyone gets mad." "This one is different, Bella." But Isabella was not willing to give up so easily. During the morning, she executed Operation Haunted Doll. She placed their mother's old doll in strategic places, first on the armchair where Lucy was reading, then in the downstairs bathroom, and finally in the kitchen, always waiting for a startled reaction. Lucy simply moved the doll to a safe place each time. She found it without comments or questions. Frustrated, Isabella decided to move on to phase 2, the ghostly whispers. During her afternoon nap, she hid behind the sofa and began to whisper Lucy's name in a strange voice. "Lucy, Lucy." "Isabella," Lucy said, without even opening her eyes. "If you want to talk to me, you can just come here. You don't need to pretend to be a ghost." "I'm not Isabella," the girl whispered, trying to disguise her voice. "Okay, but when the ghost is done playing, you can ask Isabella to come here. I need to talk to her about something important." Isabella emerged from behind the sofa, completely disconcerted. "How did you know it was me?" "Because real ghosts don't need to hide behind furniture. And because you smell like the perfume you sprayed on your wrist this morning." "Do you believe in ghosts?" The question came out more vulnerably than Isabella intended. "I believe in memories that haunt us," Lucy replied, finally opening her eyes. "I believe in you people we love who are always with us, even when they're not physically here. But I especially believe in brave girls who miss their mothers." Isabella froze, as if she had been caught doing something forbidden. "We don't talk about Mommy," she said quickly. "I know. Your father told me. But not talking about important people doesn't make them disappear from our hearts. Does it?" "I don't know." "Do you want to know what I think?" Isabella nodded hesitantly. "I think you and Olivia miss your mother so much that you're afraid talking about her will hurt even more. So you prefer to pretend she never existed. What if it does hurt more? Then it will hurt more. But you know what's worse than feeling pain?" "What?" "Feeling pain alone." At that moment, Olivia appeared at the living room door. She had heard the entire conversation. Mommy didn't like it when we fought, Olivia said timidly. Tell me more about her, Lucy asked gently. She used to sing to us every night before bed. Isabella said, her voice almost a whisper. And she made animal-shaped pancakes on Sundays, Olivia added. And she read stories with different voices for each character and danced with us in the living room when it rained. Tears began to stream down the girls' faces as the memories resurfaced. She was the best mom in the world, Isabella sobbed. And now she's gone forever, Olivia cried. Lucy stood up and hugged both girls, letting them cry freely for the first time in 2 years. She's not gone forever, Lucy said softly. Every time you do something she would be proud of, she's here. Every time you are kind to each other, she's here. Every time you sing the song she used to sing, she's here. But it hurts so much, Isabella said. I know, sweetie. Losing someone we love is the hardest pain in the world. But do you know what I've discovered? What? They asked together. That when we share the pain, it gets lighter. And when we share good memories, they get stronger. The girls cried in Lucy's arms for almost an hour. When they finally calmed down, Isabella asked the question that had been burning in her heart for 2 years. Lucy, was it our fault that Mommy died? The question hit Lucy like lightning. Why do you think that? Because that night we fought with her, Olivia admitted. We didn't want to take a bath and we threw a tantrum. She left annoyed to buy us ice cream to calm us down, and that's when the accident happened. If we had obeyed, she wouldn't have. Left the house, Isabella added, sobbing. Lucy's heart broke. She finally understood the root of all the girls' destructive behavior. They weren't just grieving their mother's loss. They were carrying the guilt of believing they had caused her death. Girls, look at me, Lucy said, gently holding their faces. Listen carefully to what I'm going to say. The accident was not your fault. But what if we hadn't fought? If, Lucy interrupted, we can spend our whole lives thinking about what? If she'd left 5 minutes earlier, if she had chosen another route, if the other driver hadn't been drinking. But none of that changes the fact that accidents are exactly that, accidents. But she was mad at us, Isabella insisted. So what? Do you think mothers only drive safely when they're happy? Your mother drove every day, angry or happy, tired or excited. What happened had nothing to do with her mood or your fight. Lucy took a deep breath before continuing. Girls, I'm going to tell you something that might be difficult to hear, but it's the truth. Your mother went out to buy ice cream because she loved you. Even angry, even tired, she wanted to make you smile. That shows what kind of mother she was, one who put her daughter's happiness above her own fatigue. Lucy's words penetrated the girls' hearts like rays of light in years of darkness. You have been carrying a guilt that is not yours, Lucy continued. And in the process, you forgot to honor her memory by living the life she wanted you to live. What do you mean? Olivia asked. Do you think your mother would be happy knowing that you spent 2 years pushing away everyone who tried to care for you, that you stopped singing, playing, being the joyful girls she raised? Isabella and Olivia were silent, reflecting. She wanted us to be happy, Isabella said timidly. Exactly. And do you know how we can honor her? By being happy, creating beautiful memories, treating people with kindness, being the incredible daughters she raised. At that moment, Richard arrived home from work and found a scene he hadn't seen in 2 years. His daughters openly talking about Helen, with tears, but also with smiles. What happened here? He asked, surprised. The girls told me about the night of the accident, Lucy said, about the guilt they were carrying. Richard turned pale. What guilt, Daddy? Isabella said. We thought Mommy died because of us. My God. Richard knelt beside his daughters. Girls, why did you never tell me this? Because we were afraid you would also leave if you knew we were to blame, Olivia admitted. Richard hugged his daughters tightly. You are not to blame for anything, nothing. The accident was no one's fault except the drunk driver who hit Mommy's car. Lucy said the same thing. Isabella said, because it's true. Richard looked at Lucy with deep gratitude. How did you know? Children who misbehave are usually trying to punish themselves for something, Lucy explained. They couldn't forgive themselves, so they created a pattern of pushing away anyone who tried to love them. It was a form of self-punishment. That night, for the first time in 2 years, the girls asked their father to tell stories about Helen. They laughed together, remembering the animal-shaped pancakes, the dances in the living room, the funny voices she made when reading books. "Daddy," Olivia said at bedtime, "can we visit Mommy's grave tomorrow?" "Of course, sweetie. And bring flowers," Isabella asked. "All the flowers you want." When Lucy said goodbye that night, the girls hugged her for the first time. "Lucy," Isabella said, "you're not leaving, are you? Where would I go? You still need me forever, until you don't need me anymore. And when that day comes, we'll know together." 3 months later, the Johnson mansion was unrecognizable. The walls no longer had scratches, the vases were whole, and more importantly, laughter echoed through the hallways. Isabella and Olivia had completely transformed. They were still intelligent and creative, but now they channeled these qualities constructively. They were doing well in therapy with Dr. Christine, making new friends at school, and most importantly, they talked about Helen naturally, without paralyzing pain. "Lucy, can I tell you a secret?" Isabella said one afternoon while they were baking cookies together. "Of course. At first I wanted you to leave because I was scared." "Scared of what?" "Scared of liking you. And then you leaving too, all the nannies left. And now I know you're not a nanny. You're family." Lucy smiled. Her heart warmed. "You're family to me too, Isabella. Even without being my real daughter, family isn't just about blood, sweetie. It's about choosing to love someone every day." Olivia, who was decorating cookies at the table, looked up. "Lucy, do you have children?" "I have 5. They're all grown now." "Do they live far away?" "Some live far, others close, but they all know. They'll always have a place in my home and in my heart." "Just like us?" Isabella asked hopefully. "Just like you." Richard had also changed dramatically. Therapy was helping him process not only his grief, but also the guilt of having emotionally distanced himself from his daughters after Helen's death. He had learned to talk about feelings, to be truly present, and most importantly, he had learned to ask for help. "Lucy," he said one Friday night, "can I ask you a personal question?" "Of course. Why do you do this? Why do you dedicate your life to caring for other people's children?" Lucy thought for a moment before answering. "When I was 8, my mother died of cancer. My father couldn't cope and started drinking. My siblings and I went to live with our grandmother, like my situation. Yes and no. My grandmother was an extraordinary woman, but she was already caring for 5 other orphaned grandchildren. There were too many of us for one person. So, the community came together to help us. Every family in the neighborhood cared for us a little, and it worked. It worked because I learned something fundamental. Children need consistent love, not perfect love. It doesn't have to be from a biological mother. It doesn't have to be from a traditional family. It needs to be from someone who chooses to stay even when it gets difficult." Richard nodded, understanding. "That's why you didn't give up on the girls. I saw in them what I was at 8 years old. 2 lost girls trying to understand a world that no longer made sense. They just needed someone who understood their pain. And now they are healing. And so are you." The following month, something unexpected happened. The girls asked to organize a birthday party for Lucy. "But you don't even know when my birthday is," Lucy said, laughing. "It doesn't matter," Isabella said. "We want to celebrate the day you came into our lives. It's like a second birthday," Olivia explained. "The day our family became whole again." The party was small, but perfect. Richard invited Lucy's children, some colleagues, and Dr. Christine. The girls had prepared everything themselves: decorations, cake, and even a photo album with all the special moments from the past few months. "Lucy," Isabella said during the speech they had prepared, "thank you for not leaving when we tried to scare you. Thank you for staying when we cried." Olivia added, "Thank you for teaching us that it's possible to love new people without forgetting those we already loved." They continued together. Lucy was crying when they finished. "Girls," she said as she went on stage, "you gave me the greatest gift anyone can receive, the chance to see two incredible people discover how special they are." "Will you stay forever?" Isabella asked. "I'll stay as long as you need me, and when you don't need me anymore, I'll still be part of the family, just in a different way. Like your honorary grandmother when you have children, like the person you call when you want to talk, like the Lucy who will always root for you." 6 months later, something unprecedented happened. The girls asked Richard to hire a new nanny. "Why?" he asked, confused. "Because we don't need a nanny anymore," Isabella explained. "We're big now, and Lucy can just be our family now, not our employee," Olivia completed. Lucy was touched by the request. It was exactly what she had hoped for since day one, that the girls would reach a point where they no longer needed specialized care. "But do you want me to keep coming here?" she asked. "Every Sunday for lunch," Isabella said immediately. "And whenever we want to bake cookies," Olivia added. "And when we have important questions," Isabella completed. "And on our birthdays, and on your birthday, and at Christmas. And when we miss you," Lucy laughed. "I guess I'll be here a lot then." "We hope so," they said together. On Lucy's last official day of work, Richard called her for a conversation. "I don't know how to thank you for what you've done for us," he said. "You didn't do anything anyone who loved you wouldn't do. Lucy, you saved my family." "No, Richard. Your family saved itself. I just showed the way." "And now, will you miss them?" "I'll miss caring for them every day, but I won't miss knowing they're okay. Because now I know they are." "How do you know?" "Because yesterday, Isabella told me she wants to be a child psychologist when she grows up. And Olivia said she wants to have 5 children, so she can love many children like you love them. And that's a good sign. It's the best sign. They want to build families. They want to help other children. They want to spread love. That means they healed from loss without losing the ability to love." 2 years later, Lucy received a special invitation. Isabella and Olivia had organized a presentation at school about real-life heroes and wanted her to be the special guest. "Why me?" Lucy asked. "Because you taught us that heroes aren't people with superpowers," Isabella explained. "They are people who choose to stay when others leave. They are people who see the best in us even when we can't," Olivia added. "They are people who transform pain into love." At the presentation, the girls told the whole story, how they had lost their mother, how they had tried to push away everyone who tried to help, and how Lucy had arrived and changed everything. "Our family was broken," Isabella said to the audience of classmates and parents. "Not because our mother died, but because we forgot how to love without fear. Lucy taught us that loving is always worth it, even when it hurts," Olivia completed. "And that family is who chooses to stay, not who has to stay. That's why our family now has 4 people, Daddy, Isabella, Olivia, and Lucy, and our mother who lives in our hearts." When they finished, the audience rose in applause. Lucy was crying with emotion. "Girls," she said as she went on stage, "you taught me something. Too." "What?" "That love has no limits, that there's always room in the heart for one more person, and that the most beautiful family is the one we choose to build together, one day at a time." Today, 5 years later, Isabella is 13 and really wants to be a child psychologist. Olivia is 13 and wants to be a teacher. Richard married again to a wonderful woman who adores the girls. And Lucy continues to be the family's honorary grandmother, present for all important moments. The mansion, which once echoed with screams and sabotage, now resonates with laughter, conversations, and music. The walls are covered with family photos, some old with Helen, many new with everyone together. And every night before bed, the girls still remember the words Lucy taught them. We love people not because they are perfect, but because we choose to love them. And when we choose to love every day, we create something stronger than any problem. We create family. The story of the impossible twins and the nanny, who changed everything, became a legend among childcare agencies. Not because it was a perfect fairy tale, but because it showed that with love, patience, and understanding, any child can learn to trust again. And sometimes, when other families are going through difficult times, Richard and the girls recommend a very special nanny. Look for Lucy Stone. She's not just a caregiver, she's a family builder.